This is Jason Whitney on the weekly call, and I just want to double check. I haven't done this for a whole week, or I guess tonight would make it 2 weeks. So I just want to make sure all our meters are flowing, sound is going. So I think everything is working properly. I didn't forget everything that I had once learned, so that's good. That's good. I make sure I mute everybody. I appreciate those that are here. This is time that you'll never get back. And so it is constantly a goal of mine to make sure that the time that you spend here with us is not one, when it's over, that you say to yourself, man, that was a waste of my time. And so that is my goal. I tease that the time that you spend here is never able to turn in and get a refund. And yet, the 3Believe diet, the program, seems to have some effects on time itself, turning back the clocks, the hands of time to a more youthful body, a more youthful cells, organs, and mind and appearance. And so it does give you more time. In that respect, we alter the fabric of time itself. So that's our interlude or our prelude into the program. And I just literally walked through the door from a 7-hour drive 28 minutes ago. I don't travel very well. My wife drove the whole time so that I could write. Thank God bless her. She drove the whole trip, and I was not much of a companion at all. Very little conversation. The only time I spoke was when I was crying for my life because of her driving. No, I'm just kidding. She's a great driver. I only prayed once the whole time we were driving, and but it's not very much fun when you're stuck in a car with some young kids and they're doing their thing and you're just sitting there driving and no one to talk to. And so thankfully she did that. I don't travel very well when I'm not driving. I get motion sickness. I'm fine any other time. It's probably a control thing. And I'm telling you this for a reason. I get a headache. I get an upset stomach. The normal things of motion sickness. And so I walked through the door. The last thing I wanted to do was eat anything, but I haven't had a shake all day, except for breakfast. And so I came in. My wife mixed me up one chocolate, just regular chocolate. Oh, you know what? She put a little bit of mint flavor in it, just a hint of mint. And I gotta tell you, literally the first swallow, I said to her, that is delicious. And what I meant was, not only did it taste good, but it immediately spoke to my intuitive self, my body's intelligence. My body needed that. That was, let me look at the clock, that was 15 minutes ago that I took that, and I feel entirely like a new person. I didn't feel well. I had low energy. You know how it is when you're traveling, you're stuck in a car, you're not able to move. You're not tired because you've exerted so much energy. You're just tired because you've been inactive for so long. The last thing you want to do is go out and perform. I owe you the obligation to come in here with energy and vitality and excitement. And yet I got to tell you, I worried about it tonight because I simply did not feel it. So I took a shake and I feel like a new person. Here I've been on this protocol for longer than anyone else on earth. This formula, this magic formula of 80 ingredients that fortifies your body. And even after this period of time, I've taken more, what did I figure? That I had taken, what was it? Over 5,000 shakes. Is that right? I think let's say, 2 times 365 times 9. Yeah, closer to 6,500 shakes I've taken. And I still have a testimony of how it makes me feel. I'm just amazed of how intuitive and intelligent our body is at the cellular level. How could it know and detect in a literally moments as it entered my palate and I swallowed it, I felt immediately revitalized. It's amazing. It really is. There's a testimony from me on a very simple thing. I'm going to read another testimony. Here's one from our beloved Mervin Hague, 84 years young. He entitles this. He says, I was introduced to the 3Believe Wellness Program on January 2017. I have had good health most of my life. I am 5'10" and weigh 210 pounds when I started the program. I did not purchase the bio kit. He mentions that because I tell everybody you have to buy a bio kit. But he explains why. I did not buy a bio kit when I started because my personal doctor conducts physical examination, including blood tests, of my wife and myself every 3 months. Okay, we'll let you go. I observed all the directions of the 3Believe program. You see, I started with phase 1, which is the resetting stage, and went through phase 2 and phase 3, each for 3 weeks. And now I'm observing phase 4, the maintenance program. My wife and I have had our physical exam recently, and here are the results. My blood test, they check sodium, potassium, chloride, glucose, creatine, calcium, cholesterol, HDL, LDL, direct and VLDL, very low density lipid protein. And the doctor said everything was perfect. Perfect for an 88-year-old gentleman. I weighed 210 pounds when I started the program and weigh 185 pounds now. I have lost 25 pounds. My blood pressure was 140 over 70. That's not good. You want to be 120 over 80 and no higher. When I started, and it is 120 over 60 now. I do plan to lose another 10 to 15 pounds. My background confirms that all plants are systematic, and they will transfer herbicides and chemicals in the soil into their seeds. Therefore, all food we eat today is contaminated. And he's right, because of commercial farming. I have researched for years a company that would focus on the resetting of my pancreas, liver, and digestive system. I have been aware of the facts of all 3 organs need to be healthy to overcome most all health issues. I thank God every day that 3Believe can provide us with the solution to this protocol. I have shared the 3Believe program with many of my acquaintances and have sponsored over 50 sales representatives. My 3Believe income has exceeded $1,000 each month since I became a sales representative, and there's nothing on this earth more important than salvation, I agree, and good health, which I also agree with. Thank you very much, Merv. That's vitally important, and I appreciate your contribution. I know and I hear every week we come up on these calls of people's experiences. We heard of one young woman that started the program. She sounds like she served some missionary time in Indonesia, and she's lost 35 pounds. Another woman that lost 51 pounds. These are great examples. I think a famous book once said, you can't hide a candle on the hill except for stick it under a bushel. And so don't hide your shining light. Be an example to your friends. Be an example to your neighbors. Be an example to the world of what is possible. Be a shining light of hope, because that's exactly what it provides. Now, going back to why was I writing? I wrote, even though that shake did me great, it doesn't always correct my poor English. I repeat, I rode shotgun in the order that I could write freely. I did it on the trip down. What happened was is we had planned a family trip to a famous lake down here called Lake Powell with our family. Unfortunately, we did this months and months ago. We were going to be there on a houseboat with some jet skis and some boats, and there was going to be about 20 plus people there, and young and old, and it was just a great gathering. What a great experience. The last hurrah of the summer, so to speak. And just a few days before, one of the family members had died, and people just weren't very excited, didn't feel like celebrating, and so felt it was appropriate to postpone the trip till next year. Well, we had the girls out of school and scheduled that. Didn't want to put a damper on their fun. You know how children can sometimes be. And so we just quickly planned a trip, booked a family resort. Thankfully, it was off the strip in a resort that had no gambling whatsoever. What a great! Can you imagine that? Like, no gambling in Las Vegas. It's unheard of. And that's where we went. Well, it just happened to be about a mile away from the Mandalay Bay, where that tragic shooting took place. Fortunately, we were indoors. Our girls were in bed, and so we were safe. But we drove down. I wrote and wrote a lot while I was there. The girls were playing in the water, and I was there by the shore writing. And then I wrote on the way back. Why? Why am I writing? Well, I constantly try to educate myself, but this was an experience that I'm convinced of some new technology. Merv talked about thinking about going back to school and doing some classes on technology, computers, and becoming more versed on how to use them and the powerful of them, I imagine. And I give a big hurrah for that type. We have to be able to continue expanding our knowledge. And by the way, being on this protocol will help in that. It will actually heighten your cognitive ability. And I'll explain a little bit more reason why here in just a minute. But I'm convinced with our technology that it is vital that we promote this program, both for the sense of business purposes, meaning building your 3Believe business, expanding it by using video, but also by just the doctrine of the science of overcoming the symptoms of metabolic syndrome. It is so technical that I try to explain to you, as we do each week, in the simplest terms, what is happening at the cellular level and the body chemistry that is changed when you start this protocol. It is important that you know some of it, but it can become a little bit confusing. And so video is the perfect way to be able to keep everybody knowledgeable and on that task. Now you may ask, why in the world have you not done this? Jason, you've been in business for 9 years. Why have you not shot video? Well, we have, but it hasn't been for the consumer. It's been video for the doctor staff. And most of the doctors, if you remember how we got our start, and we still do it, is another division takes our program and gives it right into doctors and physicians all over the country, so that they in turn can give the information to their clients and to their patients. Well, the language and the terms and the information we give a nurse practitioner or a nurse staff or an assistant or a doctor is entirely different than what we'd give to a patient. We just use different terminologies. We use very medical terms, and it can be boring. To be quite honest, it's fascinating work, don't get me wrong, but it can be, if you're not familiar with those terms, if you're not familiar with that language, it can bore you to death. And so I have been rewriting the script of all these videos, and I got to tell you, I am saying that I'm excited just does not capture the emotion that I have. And so I thought what I would do is I would read some of the just kind of the highlights of what what I was writing. So let me give you an example. I have in our training manual for physicians, we have a 90-page manual. Now, we have supporting material of another 140 pages that they have to go through. That's medical stuff, like what kind of medicines to use and instead of other medicines when you're in a ketogenic approach and the doses that you put into place for that, really technical stuff, right? And but the main body of the training is 90 pages. Well, that's a lot of material, putting it into you, the consumer. And so, how do I take that and edit it down so that I don't bore you to death? Well, I think I've done a pretty good job. So, what I did is I boiled it down so far into 5 categories. All right. Now, the 5th category is all of the weekly lessons that you will get after week 1 of starting the protocol. So, part 5 is all of the lessons that you'll get over 18 weeks, at least, of material, from a consultation, we call it, lesson 2 and on, right? Now, part 1 through 4 is all before that. It's all the preparation work that you need to do. And so I'm going to give you it took me over 35 hours of taking that 90-page document, converting it over into 37 pages. All right. Now, I had to rewrite much of it because it's actually the script that is being spoken into the camera. So part 1. I'm just going to read you. This. Forgive me, I haven't had it professionally edited yet. So if you hear me stumble, it's because I didn't put a verb or a period or a comma in there or something. All right. So here's part 1. This is. Let me back up. Why am I telling you this? Well, I guess part of it is an apology. Many of you have. A couple of hundred of you have started the protocol and you didn't have any of this stuff, and yet it still worked. One, that shows the extreme power at the cellular level of this program. Now, some of you have wavered. Some of you have fallen off the program because you didn't get enough assistance, and I apologize for that. Please accept that. And it's because you didn't have a doctor to walk you through it. And so I'm fixing that with this. So this is the reason I'm telling you that, is that any of the people that you knew that you've shared this program with and they fell off, this is most likely the reason why. They just didn't know what to do. This will fix all that so you can get them back on again. But 2, this is a great way that will ensure people not wavering from the program, not being confused, and not having a lack of willpower or lack of motivation because they don't know what to do. Also, it's a great way to bolster your business because this has never been done. Now, you've heard us brag about the fact that the 3Believe approach has never been done ever before anyway. We didn't invent the technology of a ketogenic approach. That's been around since the cells of man were first created. Ketosis is a natural biological function that all of us experience. And so we didn't invent that. What we did was we sifted through over 600 clinical studies that were absolutely refined in identifying what causes metabolic syndrome, why we gain weight and can't lose it as we get older, why we have high blood pressure, why we have elevated cholesterol levels, why type 2 diabetes is a tsunami of medical conditions sweeping not only our country but the entire world, and why stomach aches and digestive disorders are the number one complaint that doctors receive from their patients when they come in to their office. It deals with those issues, and so these series of videos will explain it very simply, literally from A to Z what to do. You will not get lost. All right. Now, this first part that I'm telling you is, I'll tell you that without editing it down finer, and I'll work on some professionals doing that. But as it sits right now, it's about an hour long. So part 1 to part 4 is about 20 minutes per section. That's how much information is needed to be given to a client before they start the protocol. Now, you might be a little concerned about, well, what? Well, that takes so long. Nutrisystems, you don't have to watch an hour's worth of video. And Weight Watchers, and the list goes on. Nobody else has that kind of a prerequisite as to getting started. However, none of them can brag and tote about the results that we do in as broad of a spectrum. As you know, our main goal is not to have you lose weight. Our main goal is to cure hunger, right? You've heard me joke that the only thing I ever want you to ever say our program will cure, and that is hunger. And even that is temporary until you're hungry again. But what our goal is to help your body have the building blocks that it needs to overcome the symptoms, the cause of metabolic syndrome, the cause of why you have all those symptoms. That's the key. We want to find out why these things are happening. We don't want to put a Band-Aid on it. That's what medication does. It just puts a Band-Aid on the problem and actually causing more. And so nobody else gives the information because first off, they don't have clinical, solid, scientific data that's worth an hour's worth of video. They don't have it. The science isn't there to back it up. And so that's something to go hurrah about. All right. So it's broken into 4 parts, this first section, so that you'll be ready. So let me just read a little bit from, I put into summary just a couple of lines of what it is. All right. So again, this is the script. So let's pretend that I'm speaking to the camera. All right. Ready, action. That's it for part 1. Now you know when there is a health risk that is claiming 3 lives per minute, it is worth finding out what it is, especially when you literally can choose if it will happen to you. We covered why coaching is important and why someone hasn't provided you with this information before. We covered how much more expensive the treatment care approach is compared to preventable care is. Our program is a preventable care approach to these health issues. You've learned that the solution is pretty simple. Just fixing your pancreas, liver, and digestion. That's it. And since just eating food is the answer as long as it is micro or macro balanced. I apologize. The screen that I was reading from just went blank. Oh, there it is again. See, Merv, when you go to class, tell me why that happens. I'm back again. We just talked about the difference between and the advantages of how expensive treatment care is and how much cheaper and healthier preventative care is. And the secret is eating foods that's macro balanced. We hope that you found this information useful in your journey to being more healthy and overcoming the symptoms of metabolic syndrome. Until your next video, be intuitive and don't forget to macro balance. Part 2. It tells you to mail in your blood test pod into the lab. You'll receive results in about a week. Watch the Modern Day Health Apocalypse video. Now that's a video that I will produce. That's just to give you a little key. That is a video, or I'm sorry, that's a PowerPoint presentation that we created 8 years ago for the use of doctors. Now let me give you a bragging rights of why this PowerPoint presentation that was designed originally done live to the doctor's patients. So of those people that came to the session, which is a very high ratio of the doctor's clients, over 90% of the people that were there actually enrolled in the program. They started it. That's unheard of in sales. If you've ever done sales, that kind of a closing ratio, as they call it, is phenomenal. So what we've done is we've created a video to mimic that same type of setting that you can use for your family and friends and for marketing your business. We call that the modern day health apocalypse video. Okay, so we tell people, watch that. Then we ask them to fill out the health profile, which will all be online. Weigh and measure yourself weekly, and upload your results on your personal health page. Now, part of that is we've created an app. It's a standalone app that you can use on your computer or on your smartphone, and you can see your progress, upload your data, all right there in the palm of your hand. Great resource for your clients and for yourself. Write out your why, meaning why did you start this program? What was your goal? What were you trying to accomplish? Sign your promise and contract. I'll go over that at a later time, but it's just basically promising you're not going to cheat. You don't promise with us, you promise with yourself, and it feeds off of your original why you're starting the program. And then you go shopping. Go for shopping for the foods that you are going to need on the program, so that when you receive your kit, you're already set. You don't have to rush to the store because you just found your new list of vegetables that you didn't even know existed. Okay. And then I continue. That's it for part 2. We took care of some important paperwork, and let's do a recap of what we went over. We hope you found this information informative, and I just went over that, and useful in your journey to be more healthy and in overcoming the symptoms of metabolic syndrome. And then part 3. That's a wrap for part 3. Let's go over the list of things that we covered. How, with just a little bit of preparation, you'll be ready to start your diet on the right foot. We covered how the program has a beginning and an end. You don't have to be on this forever, with just 4 phases. Now, phase 4 is designed as a maintenance phase, and you will be on that forever to prevent any of the symptoms that you overcame by starting the diet from coming back. That's a goal, right? We covered item by item and went over each of the items in your starter kit, what they are and what they're used for. We actually, on video, pull out the items, explain what it is, and tell you how to use it and what it's for. That will eliminate any question on any of the items in the starter kit. It'll also show you what the starter kit looks like. We pulled back the curtain, revealed our secret plan that we call our prime directive criteria. Now, that's something that we borrowed from our medical version that we give to the doctors. That's kind of behind the scenes. All right, you got to have the patient reach these goals. You got to have them have this kind of a biomarker reading, blah, blah, blah. That's what we pull back and tell you what we're trying to achieve. And as a guide, we use that every week in the lessons that we give you. And how we want to put you into ketosis, which is a healthy state of burning stored body fat as energy. We introduced you to some terms called body intelligence and intuitive eating, and learned to listen to its promptings to help lead you to health. Until our next video, be intuitive and don't forget to macro balance. Now, it's just an addition. That last part about listening to its promptings, as a coincidence, I did not feel like having any food, but I knew that I needed something before the presentation 29 minutes and 50 seconds ago when this started. I took it and I listened to those promptings, and I'm reaping in the benefits. I feel great. I really do. I feel energized. My stomach ache has gone away, and my headache's gone. I'm energized. This is a good thing. And body intuitive nature is a powerful, powerful intellectual force. Now you can kind of read between the lines here that as I'm going through this material, with me breaking this up into 4 parts, that's 37 pages. That's almost 10 pages per part. Now 10 pages of material being put into a video, you can see that we're covering an enormous library of content. You will have great information, great knowledge, a lot of simple scientific stuff broken down. And then part 4 is a big category. So let me go over that one. That's it for part 4. Let's go over the things that we covered. Following the plan and honoring your contract agreement with yourself with no cheating. If you have any questions, reach out with specific questions, and we'd be glad to help you at support@3believe.com. We covered how the program has a beginning and an end, and how we ask you to plan on 18 weeks before moving on to the 4th phase, just in case, and to always start with phase 1. Now, what I was referring to, just in case, meaning the studies show that you should be in phase 1 for 18 weeks if you have the symptoms of metabolic syndrome. Well, what's the symptoms? Well, having elevated blood pressure, and if you have high blood pressure, like Merv did, if I can use you as an example, Merv, it's not that your blood pressure was high, it was that what was it at the cellular level that caused your blood pressure to be high? Going through the program, there's no quick, easy fix. You can't do it for 2 weeks. How many years or perhaps decades did it take for your body to get into a state where it manifests itself in the form of high blood pressure? But we could substitute blood pressure with cholesterol readings or glucose readings of type 2 diabetes or being overweight. It doesn't happen overnight. You're not naughty for a couple of weeks and then all of a sudden your cholesterol levels shoot through the roof, or you don't gain 50 pounds. It comes over time. But there's several cascading events at the cellular level, a body chemistry that changes with each and every bite of food that's not macro balanced. Those things have an effect on your body. And so what this is explaining is that it tells you that the studies, for some reason, it found that your pancreas and your liver. What I found fascinating when I discovered these clinical research studies, an entirely separate medical group did the study on the pancreas, and yet an entirely different research university did it on the liver. And they both determined they had not in contact with each other. And they were done at different times. Okay, both of them found that it took 18 weeks for them to normalize, meaning the pancreas hypersecretion of insulin was normalized in 18 weeks. The fatty liver was normalized in 18 weeks. Isn't that interesting? Now, digestive disorder can normalize in less than 18 weeks, depending on how bad it is. But I've seen in most situations that it takes about 6 weeks for a really bad digestive quality. Now, if you're complaining of an autoimmune disorder, which being allergic to pollen, for example, is exactly that. If you're having immune issues, it can take longer than 6 weeks. I've had people that have started the protocol right before the holiday season. So they'd start about this time of year, right? Right before the big the weather changes. And they normally would have seasonal allergies their eyes would water, they'd sneeze, they'd cough, and then it would happen again in the spring as the different pollen starts changing, and then they go through the summer. Then the following year, they didn't seem to have those symptoms. Well, does that mean that it takes a year? No, it just means that there was no immune attacks on your system, any antagonists that were cascading down to cause you the symptoms of having hay fever, so to speak, or having allergic reactions. But it can take more than just a few weeks, 5 or 6 weeks, to overcome some of the hay fever symptoms. And so that's why we talk about just follow the studies. I don't know why it took 18 weeks, but man, that's a strangely coincidental issue that it both took the liver and the pancreas 18 weeks to normalize. Yours might be fine in 4 weeks, in 3 weeks. Just listen to your body and watch the symptoms and see how they change. We explained that if you have high blood pressure or on type 1 or type 2 diabetes or diabetic and being treated with medication, that you need to be on the alternative diet plan, to watch for special videos that I've created just for you. So what I've done is when you start the protocol, or if you send the program to one of your family or associates, and they happen to have high blood pressure or type 2 diabetes, or type 1 for that matter, how do you know if they have it? Maybe they haven't mentioned it to you, right? I don't want you to practice medicine without a license. I'm not a medical doctor, so I don't want to do the same. So how can you best advise them? Well, have them watch the video. The medications that were recommended are designed, and we say throughout the video, check with your prescribing physician before you make any changes to your medication. In fact, make sure that they're aware that you're making a change to your diet, because there's going to be some chemical changes that happen, and they need to be aware of it. So we cover your bases and ours, that they're highly and repeatedly informed that they need to inform their doctor. We've even made it easy producing a PDF so they can email them the document of what the doctor needs to know, what they can expect as the chemical changes that are going to happen in their body. And we've even suggested them medications replacements written out by a pharmacist that knows that information precisely, so the doctor doesn't have to do the heavy lifting. Now, it doesn't mean that they can't, and it doesn't mean that they don't care. What it means is they just don't have the time. To be honest with you, they don't deal in those as much in preventative care. Some of them do. Some of their practices are highly geared towards preventative care, but most are not. And again, it's not that they don't care, it's just they don't have time. So we make it easy for them to sift through all the mountains of research, and they can go right to the meat of the matter, make a prescription change if needed, and send you on your way. So we've done all that in this series of new videos. This is some great work. But when the people receive the video, they'll just be able to click on the appropriate video. So a person that does not have high blood pressure and haven't been treated with medication will go to the right place to watch the right video. Those that don't have to watch through all that material that doesn't pertain to them. This is a great tool, not only for actually managing these issues, but as a great marketing tool. We don't have to have them waste time. So we even go over details like giving you a solution if you're experiencing low energy the first week of the program and what to do. We even went over the 4 real causes of high blood pressure and what the secret is and how to overcome it. We mentioned that if you have any of the contraindications, you need to contact your doctor before starting the diet. Now, contraindications is a medical term. It's basically saying don't start any regimen because there's a contraindication, a reason why you shouldn't do it, a health reason why you shouldn't do it. And there are some contraindications. It doesn't mean that you can't do the diet. It means that your doctor needs to be aware, inform them so that they can monitor you. Someone, for example, that has Parkinson's disease, or someone that just barely had a heart attack, they have a different body chemistry. Will the program help them? Absolutely. But as altruistic as you may be, and as much good well-being and love you're trying to spread around, you need this kind of material so that, one, you're not hurting someone or not providing them the necessary information that their doctor would need to have to prevent any negative side effect. Does that mean that our program could be dangerous to someone? Well, it's possible if the conditions were just right. What's an example of one of those situations? A type 1 diabetic and entering into ketoacidosis. Not the same thing as ketosis, entirely different, but it's a possible deadly condition for a type 1 diabetic. Our program outlines exactly what to and what not to do from a medical point of view, and then always reminding with putting captions right on the video that they need to converse and consult with their primary physician or their prescribing physician. So we're taking a very, very appropriate approach, a medical approach, but also simple enough that the end user can use it. We talked about, in this last one, we showed you how to make your first shake and covered all 4 meals of your first day. We literally show them how to mix the shake. We show them going through breakfast, the lunch, your dinner, and then the 4th meal. Talking about all the nuances and the changes, when to mix in the oil and how to prevent it from being able to, how to taste it, how to flavor it if that's an option. We go through item by item of the starter kits, as I mentioned. We guide you through the educational videos so it's easy for you to navigate them. And we explain that we want to put you into a state of ketosis. We educate them a little bit about ketosis and a ketogenic state. We talk about more about the body intelligence and intuitive eating and listening to it. And we talk about introduce them into the app that I mentioned, the health profile app. We even show what it looks like. So we'll cut away in the video, show them where they can find it on the website, show a picture of it so that when they get there, it'll look familiar. We have gone to great lengths to make sure that it is simple and easy to follow. Not to patronize any of you or any of your people, but remember back in the day, you may have heard this popular phrase, keep it simple, stupid, right? Or write your dialogue as if you're writing to a 5th grader, right? It's not because their intelligence is 5th graders grades level. It's just that we can be a little flamboyant in our writings. And that's what we've done, is to keep it very simple, very concise, and yet there's cutaway videos that they can go and pick if they want to get into more meaty matters, or if it's more medically tuned, they can have that information available to them. So I'm so excited about these series of videos. I'm just waiting for the last final edit, and then we'll go into cutting these videos, and you'll have them available for yourself and for all the people that you want to share this with. So I'm really, really excited. I hope that you are too. And there's a couple of questions that I've had. Malo got those for me while I was out of town. And let me see where she put those. Okay. Here's one. Melatonin. and how it's not good for the body. All right. Um, some of you I know have checked in about melatonin. Well, people take melatonin for a couple of reasons. One, melatonin is a hormone that's found naturally in your body. So when you take a melatonin tablet, actually what it's doing is it's promoting your body's production of more melatonin. So melatonin is it's not that it's not good for your body. It's like insulin. Insulin in and of itself is not bad for your body. It's just that too much of a good thing can be harmful, like insulin. We've gone over that, which is the cause of type 2 diabetes, right? Well, melatonin falls in that category. It can be habit forming, meaning kind of like caffeine. Once you take a certain amount of melatonin to get your fix, let's say they're trying to satisfy a sleeping. You're taking it as a sleeping aid, a healthy sleeping aid, so to speak. Well, one capsule or one tablet uh, isn't sufficient after a few weeks or a few months of use. You got to increase it to get the same effect. What will happen after a period of time is that it won't work at all. And so it can be habit forming as well, meaning it you can only sleep if you take melatonin, and that's where it can be less healthy for you. Melatonin also has been used for ADHD, attention disorders, or as a possible treatment of Alzheimer's. All of these issues that they're using melatonin for is for cognitive increases, just making your brain more active. And so rather than using melatonin for a long term, there are some people can use it for a couple of years before they start having these effects. Um, One that I suggest is using the ashwagandha. You have ashwagandha in the formula of the meal replacement shake. At the clinical dose, ashwagandha has no negative side effects. I take it on a regular basis, and it helps great with my anxiety. Not that I have problems with anxiety, but just stress. You feel more stressed. All of us have different levels of stress, and as a sleep aid. We are coming out, just working with the art department now, so that you can get extra amounts of the ashwagandha and taking it. I'm doing more research now currently with CBD oil, and I plan to formulate a ashwagandha with a CBD oil as a supplement. As some of you may know, the reason why we missed our last webinar was because I attended a conference. It is kind of the supermarket, if you will, of the world in our industry. Manufacturers of raw ingredients, extracts for the nutraceutical industry. A lot of pharmaceutical companies are there, so some very, very big players. And I go there. It is a huge event, over 1,000 booths. It literally takes me 2 days, two separate people, myself and someone else, and we just take suitcases with wheels as we pull around each booth, grabbing the literature and stuffing it in my bag, and off I go. I don't even have time to talk to them. I may talk for a few minutes to a couple. And CBD, some of you may know, is it comes from, it's an active ingredient, the non hallucinogenic or psychotropic drugs that you get from marijuana. So it's an extract from marijuana. You don't get high from it. This is when you talk about the medical uses of marijuana in the oil, they're talking about the CBD oil. So I'm doing some research and have been for about a year and a half, and how we can use it. All states have it legalized now for CBD. You don't need a special license for it. You're not going to get high on it, but we'll be using some of that in separate form. It won't be. I will not put it in all of our products, because some people will feel they just don't want it. They don't risk it. They're afraid of it. So we won't have it. It'll be in a separate product line. There's some exciting things. I will reveal that I plan on using it in some of our essential oils blend. We have some special technology that we've used for years and adapt that into our CBD oil that we'll use for our essential oil line. Really exciting work. Very top level, cutting edge technology. Some amazing results. Fantastic results, in fact. So those of you that are taking melatonin, suggest that you switch and we start using the ashwagandha. Another one here, let's see. Why is the vanilla different color sometimes? Part of it is because we use all natural ingredients. It's so much easier to cover the color when you're talking chocolate, right? Like the chocolate powder changes everything to brown. But when you're dealing with plants and extracts, seasonally sometimes, even though they have the same potency, the color of the plant can actually change. And so that's a primary reason why they'll change in color. And then that looks like that's about it. Except for one. She did say, make sure that you pay attention to this part. If you're placing an order and you place it on Thursday and you're including some of the smart foods, so this would be things like the tortillas or the breads or the muffins, right? We're going to wait until Monday to ship that order. So if you're trying to get it in so that you get it moving to you, you need to plan just a little bit farther ahead. We're going to hold that order because we don't want that sitting in the mailbox at the FedEx or your mailbox in your town, because they don't move stuff on the weekend. Okay? And we don't want to compromise the quality of that food. So just plan on, if you're ordering any of the smart foods, any of the foods that has an expiration date, order it prior to Thursday, because if you place it on Thursday, we're going to hold the order and fulfill it and ship it on Monday. Okay? So I'm going to go back to Merv and see if we have any other questions. Merv, are you there?
I'm here.
All right. Did I cover? I didn't know if I'd have enough material tonight, but I think we covered a lot, didn't we?
Lots of information, man. That's phenomenal.
Good.
When will these videos be available, Jason?
Well, we'll be cutting them in segments, and so as soon as they're available, we'll be posting them. I always am afraid of the video team because I can control how many hours I work on the script, but I can't control how many hours they work. So, but I'm cracking the whip on them. I expect that they'll be out in the next few weeks. You'll start seeing them.
Okay.
So,
all right.
Any other questions?
Any questions, anyone? Good call. A lot of information.
Thank you. I appreciate. Please don't forget to send in your testimonies. I know you have them. Let's share them. I gave mine to you. It's only right that you share yours with me, right? Looks like we're getting a little bit of feedback there. Again, I thank you for your time. I hope you found this call informative, encouraging, and motivational. So until next time, I'm signing off. I appreciate you, love you all, and look forward to our next time together. And for now, good night.
Good night, Jason. Thanks.
Good night, everybody.
Good call. Good night, everybody.